I believe I've been on Jasmine for at least 4 years and maybe longer than that.
Okay, so even prior to the pandemic, you were on
I
Jasmine.
think it was prior to the pandemic. I mean, I was on other webcam sites previous to Jasmine. Like I always knew about Jasmine, but I never checked it out. Um, but I really got more serious or into it or spending more money when the COVID hit.
I think that you're not alone in that.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think I am. And I've always been curious about this business. I mean, I know there's a lot of money and I enjoy talking to the girls. I have a list of friends to this day, and I just love the business. I love the thinking about the business side of the business.
What do you like about it?
I just find it intriguing. I mean, when I grew up, I mean, I'm a lot older than you. When I grew up, there weren't many outlets to watch girls, even in magazines or anything. I mean, I grew up on Playboy.
Right.
That was all we had. We had Field and Stream, and we had um, private, what they used to call smokers that you'd watch on somebody's wall, or um, and that was about it. I mean, even Jasmine, the changes I've seen Jasmine go through from when I started are ridiculous.
Really? So even in the last 4 years, you feel like the platform has shifted and grown a lot.
Oh, completely, completely.
Now, you shared that you have a list of friends on Jasmine, and I love that you said that and how you said it. Can you share an example of a meaningful interaction you had with a model that made a difference in your day or
Well, almost everyone on this list falls into that category.
really?
But I can tell you, starting out with the length of time I've known these girls, women, do you want me to give names or not?
We don't have to give names.
Okay. So one of them was one of my first contacts on Jasmine, and we grew up together, figuratively. Um, she was new, and I was new,
Oh, I like that.
and I used to give her advice on what she could do, and we went through a lot of stuff together, online, of course. And she's now very successful, and I always told her that she was going to be successful, and she's very successful. Not the top in Jasmine, but doing pretty good. We don't talk a lot anymore. Like she has gone the next level above me, but we're still friends. Like when we had a hurricane about a year ago here in Florida, she messaged me and asked me if I'm okay, if everything came out all right. And I stop into her room periodically and say hello. And not to toot my own horn, but she says to me, "You're why I'm successful."
You know, it's interesting. I've heard from some models that when they were new on the site, this is not the first time I've heard this, that when they were new on the site, the members started telling them how to be a model, like what members like, what you need to do. And I thought,
Entice. Sorry, entice is the word I wanted.
yeah. And I thought that was so cute and interesting that the members, come together and build the model up and kind of teach her how to model when she's just starting out. And I know that one of the models that told me that, she said that that did make such a difference because she felt welcome and she felt like the members had her back and, wanted her there. And it did make a difference for her.
I have quite a few that have hung on and become successful in my eyes. They're successful. I mean, they look like they own more. They have apartments, they have cars, they have this, they have that. They didn't have that to start.
Isn't that incredible? And it happens in such a relatively short amount of time.
Well, first of all, my favorite, I don't know if I can tell you, my favorite country with women on this site is Colombia.
Do you feel like Jasmin has provided you with connections and certain types of relationship that you wouldn't have had otherwise?
Very possibly. Very possibly. Yeah, I mean, I'm basically a shy guy, but on virtual sites, you tend to open up a little more, show more of your true self than just walking up to a girl in a club or a restaurant and talking like that. No. Maybe I should, but I don't.
Well, that you bring up a really interesting point that you kind of feel like this online sphere is almost a safer place, maybe, to have certain interactions. Because it's true, if you're not feeling that interaction anymore, it's very easy to kind of just click out of it. Whereas in real life, it's not as easy. But I'm curious, do you feel like maybe some of the positive interactions that you've had on Jasmin have made you feel more comfortable going up to someone in person, or do you feel like you just are too shy for that?
Possibly. Possibly. I can't definitely say yes, but possibly.
What would you say is the main benefit that Jasmin brings into your life?
Besides having someone you can talk to every day, depending on how busy they are, to personal reasons.
Well, let's talk about having someone that you can talk to every day. Is that something that you feel is comforting for you, or
Definitely.
yeah, I think we all feel that in life.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if they're happy to see you or just wink at you, or, you know, it's certainly good. It's a good thing. Psychologically, it's a good thing.
Yeah, and it goes a long way. I feel like those little things that you might not realize are a big deal, they really do go such a long way. Just those moments, like you said, that wink. It's such a
Yeah.
moment of like acknowledgement and connection almost, but it's
And I
small.
think it's two-way too. I hope that it's two-way too. So just my presence for a little while in the room, even though they're busy talking to other people, I hope helps. And I know it does because they've told me that. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it that you enjoy so much about these models?
Their beauty and their personality. I always like a girl or a model with a good personality. I always like a model who listens to me, even though they don't have to. They listen to me and put it to work. Try it out, see if it works. I think that's the most rewarding.
Is them listening?
Them listening and doing it and trying it out and saying, you know what, you're right, it worked. I'm getting more people coming to my room. I'm getting more people staying in my room. I'm getting more people spending more money, which of course is the bottom line in this business.
You mentioned earlier that you really kind of dove into Jasmine's platform during the pandemic. You may have gotten started before, but it was during the pandemic that you really spent more time,
Well,
more
be totally honest with you, I was on Jasmine before, but I never spent any money. I just used to observe and talk. But when COVID hit and I'm sitting in my house most of the time, I just decided to start spending money, which was probably the worst decision I ever made because I've spent a lot of money. Um, but at the same time, there's a lot of fulfillment, satisfaction, and in it. But yeah, I was on Jasmine before COVID.
As I mentioned to you, I you're not alone in having really dove into a site like Jasmine during the pandemic because so many people we were in isolation and quarantine and whatever the situation was. I'm curious if you feel like Jasmine helped you overcome some of the feelings of isolation or loneliness during that time.
Definitely. Definitely.
Would you say it was just that communication, that connection? What was it that really helped to ease those feelings?
Just somebody you could go to if you wanted to almost every day and say hello and do whatever you do. The campsites, Jasmine in particular, was not quite a godsend, but uh, certainly helped. There's a
Yeah.
lot of things that I think Jasmine or similar sites do for people. And besides the obvious one, uh,
What are some of the benefits you feel like Jasmine provides to people besides the obvious? Because exactly any type of sexual content or flirtation is obvious. But I think what people don't realize is that there's actually a lot more than that happening. So we don't have to touch on the obvious because that's
I
there.
mean, I go through stages where I go and visit girls just to say hello, you know, talk a little bit, and then leave. I mean, it's part of your day. Um, and for me, when I first came to Florida and was retired and wasn't working at all, I utilized it a lot. Uh, all the things I've already said: loneliness, companionship, satisfaction. And I think some of the girls realize it. Some of the girls don't realize it. Some of the girls will talk and genuinely talk, and some will just fake it, and some won't do it at all. Guys can tell when you're being honest and you're not being honest for the most part.
What's interesting to me about what you're saying is that as a member of this site, you're basically saying that talking and communication is one of the top attributes and necessities.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
even down to trading music, favorite music, which I do a lot with girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially when they like your choices. They've never heard it before. Obviously, I'm a lot older than most of them, all of them. So when I suggest something from the 50s or the 60s and they like it, that's pretty cool. And at the same token, they might suggest things to me, which they have.
Are you even friends if you haven't shared music with someone?
True. Good point.
What you're describing is one of the things that I think is so cool about Jasmine in the sense that you have people from many different parts of the world, many different generations, walks of life that are connecting, and you kind of get to, in some ways, experience the world through that other perspective when they're
Definitely.
sharing something with you.
Definitely. If they're personable with you, yeah, then you learn about what they might do when they're not working Or they might even show you a picture or a short video of them when they're not working. Like right now, it's big to show them exercising in the gym or whatever. That's a big thing now. And I've even done that to them. I've shown them me working out or exercising. I even spent a private with a girl. We spent the private exercising together.
That's really cool. Now, were you teaching her some of your?
No, she was actually a trainer, but yeah, we were just doing it simultaneously.
My final question would be if you could describe your experience on Jasmin in 1 to 2 words, what would it be?
Fulfilling, exhilarating, and overall educational.
I love it. Thank you so much. All right, that's the interview.
Well, I enjoyed it thoroughly.